Tough conditions out there for all the sailors, but let's go to the good news. This is the stash that you can win. We have also got a rather fantastic top as well here. Vestas 11th Hour Racing. We've also got Charlie Enright on the line, but just before we connect to him, let me explain to you how it is that you can win all of this. What we're looking for is for you guys to comment in the sections below on today's show, on tomorrow's show. In fact, we're going to close this out on Friday at midnight. That's the point we're going to stop taking entries. You got to comment with the time in UTC that you think the Vestas 11th Hour Racing is going to get to 2,000 nautical miles from the finish in Hong Kong. We're obviously monitoring everything that goes on here, second by second. Put your best guess in the comments. The first person to get the right guess, when we find out when that will be the person who wins. But now, big treat, let's see if we can get live connecting to Charlie Enright. Not on board the boat with Vestas 11th Hour Racing, but Charlie, I can see you there. Thank you very much for joining us. First of all, let's just put a quick question to you. Just explain the circumstances that means that you're not on board the boat for this leg.
Hey, Niall, how are you? Thanks for having me along this morning on the old Daily Show. Yeah, it's been a difficult couple of weeks for my family here. During the last leg, I was emailing with my wife, basically, every other day, every third day, sometimes a little less frequently, given the conditions in the last leg. But she let me know that our son was sick. It started kind of with a common cold and then led to bacterial pneumonia. So he spent 12 days in the hospital, a bunch of different operations, and, it was a pretty difficult time. But just last week, we are home, back in our own house. The recovery process has started, so we're on the mend, but it was certainly the right decision for me and for my family for me to sit this leg out. But as I said, things are on the mend, and I don't see any reason why I'm not going to be hopping on a plane here to Hong Kong on Tuesday. So it was good to tuck the situation away at home. Everybody's doing pretty well now. And, I'm excited to get back on the boat for this next leg.
Well, Charlie, we certainly appreciate you guys taking the time to talk to us. Obviously, a difficult time for you. We wish you the very best with that. Let's go to some of the questions that we've got coming in. First of all here, some of them are technical nature, others not. But with some of the technical ones, we've got a question here from Matt Hall. What sort of things are the crew doing on their standby watch? If at all, they have one in their watch system. So first of all, do they have a standby watch? And if so, what do they do with their off time?
Well, in the doldrums right now, it's pretty hard to get sleep during the day. But generally, when you're kind of on off watch, we don't really have standby. We have a standby system that we implement, when there's a lot going on, when there's a lot of sail changes or uncertainty in the weather, which is basically just the off watch stays in their gear. But, during that off watch, you're trying to get as much sleep as you possibly can. You got to do things to take care of yourself, whether it's, eating meals, dealing with your personal hygiene, boning up on, the weather for the next 4 hours that you're going to be on deck when it's your turn. So there's plenty of things to do. People think that, you kind of sail half the time and sleep half the time, but that's not really the case. Your 4 hours off are usually filled by, taking your gear off, putting your gear on, and then kind of taking care of yourself. So you usually only get 2 hours rest or something like that, during your quote-unquote off time.
Okay, well, another question here, specifically about Vestas 11th Hour Racing. We're just seeing some of the footage of yourself and the crew racing earlier. But John S. Palmer asks, what makes Charlie confident that Vestas is on the correct side of the course? I guess I should start by saying, do you think that they are on the right side of the course?
Yeah, it's really been interesting to watch. I found myself watching like every other fan of the race, every 6 hours. And when it was live, it was really difficult. I think I must have hit the refresh button every 5 seconds. But It's really tough to tell because you're not out there to observe some of the micro features, whether it's a cloud or an eddy or something like that. But right now it's tough to say because they're supposed to be sailing into some northeasterlies, and in Alaska, a lot of boats still had southwesterlies. So I like personally where they are now. A couple hours ago, when they're a little bit more centered up into the north, that seemed a bit stronger, but in reality, everyone's going to be 10 miles apart when the breeze fills, and it's going to be a drag race. It's going to be all about boat speed for the last 3,000 miles.
And another question that we've got coming in, talking about positioning of the fleet, Mathis Kaufman asks, why aren't teams like Scallywag, Sununkai Scallywag, risking more, meaning going more east or west? And it's fair to say that this edition of the Volvo Ocean Race has been unbelievably tight, boats sticking together. What's your view on when you should split, when you should gamble?
In this particular situation, there's consensus in the modeling. I mean, the new wind is in the north, so everybody's trying to wobble their way there. And in conditions like this, in the doldrums, when it's kind of cloud to cloud, as crazy as this sounds, you don't really have control, over how you get there. We got some boats on port, some boats on starboard. Some boats have pressure in a cloud. Other boats are just bobbing along. So you just kind of try to point the bow in the right direction and, make sure you keep the focus. Certainly. Sometimes it's, when the boat speed reads 000, it's easy to get frustrated, but you got to keep grinding it out because the boat that gets to that wind first is going to extend. They're going to put themselves in a rich get richer scenario.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that scenario. I know there's a delay on the line, so thank you very much for sort of staying with us. Obviously, you're in Newport, and we're all the way in Alicante in Spain, in Europe. But just with that idea about, when it goes well, when it goes badly, Kent Nason asks, when you have a crew of highly motivated sailors sitting becalmed in extreme heat going nowhere, it must be a challenge to keep nerves in check. How do skippers deal with that pressure?
Yeah, I mean, that's a pressure that exists in, 100 degrees Fahrenheit, light air on the equator. And it's a, phenomenon that exists down in the Southern Ocean as well in 45 knots and, 30 degrees Fahrenheit temperatures. So, a lot of what we do is managing personalities, and a lot of that has to do with managing expectation and setting the tone. And, it's something that I think comes naturally to some people, and some people have to work hard at. And, for me, I think it's a combination of both. It's something that I'm definitely comfortable doing, but something that I can always improve on. I'm constantly challenging myself to be better.
Oh, and another quick question here. This one from Kayla. She says, Charlie, I'm going to Hong Kong and will be in the village. If you need a runner, coffee getter, anything, she's willing to help. What I would say to you, Kayla, is the best way you can do that is enter the competition. Share this video, get it out far and wide, but most importantly, the thing you have to do, comment with your guess as to what time UTC we're going to see Vestas 11th hour racing get to that magic point of 2,000 nautical miles to the finish. The competition will close midnight UTC on Friday. Okay, Charlie, another quick question for you here. A little bit of interesting one about some differences that we see in some of the skippers and some of the leadership's style. Nicholas Georgakopoulos asks, how do you compare the leadership styles of Shabby from behind and Charles from the helm, and also, through the jibing battle in the Southern Ocean? And, Shabby is very much one of those skippers that doesn't take the helm.
Yeah, I mean, I think both of those guys are obviously very good at what they do. It's reflected in the result. Charles drives the boat. I mean, there's a fair number of skippers that do and a fair number of skippers that don't. I think it totally comes down to the pieces that you have on board, the players that you have on your team, and maximizing the efficiency. I think Charles certainly does a very good job helming the boat inshore and offshore. I think Javi, kind of came up as a 49er crew, not a helm per se. So I think it's potentially behooves him to be in the pit, I think, is where he is during the maneuvers, trimming during the inshore stuff, but I think he's so good at what he does and the way he carries himself, he has everybody's respect. So, that's more what it's about, I'd say, than specifically driving the boat. It's the way that you lead your team and the respect that they have for you.
Okay, turning to something of a more technical nature, Dave, JNSN, if you want to have a go at pronouncing that, you're perfectly welcome, asks, why do you need the weight at the front of the boat in the light wind conditions? Just explain to us a little bit about how these boats are set up and sailed.
So in an effort to basically reduce wetted surface, which is basically drag along the water, these boats have most of their beam in the back, and they drag their transoms around in light air specifically. So it's very important that you get all the weight to the front of the boat to help get the transom up out of the water so you're not dragging it along.
Okay, another technical question then. Derek Lane has asked multiple times, in fact, now that you've done 4 legs of racing, what, if anything, would you change about the performance of the boat from a technical perspective? I'm going to limit you to just one because time is running short, but if you could change anything or help develop the boat in any way, what would you do at this point?
It's tough to say. We just went through a grueling Southern Ocean leg, where every single boat finished, which wasn't the case with the 70s. So, the robust construction certainly helped then. But as you can see now, it's not helping these boats get through the doldrums any quicker. I think the boats kind of struggle on light air because they're a little bit heavy. But at the same time, that was the design brief, and it's what has made the racing, so great so far.
Okay, another question then from a personal nature. I mean, we're just watching footage at the moment of Vestas 11th hour racing, but I wonder if we could cut back to your Skype screen because some people have noticed the trophies behind you. And Jono asks, just to talk us through the trophies behind you, which win is the most valuable to you? Now, I should just say that does assume that those trophies are yours. What's the story there?
Actually, I think I'm just looking at them right now. I think at least a couple of them are my wife's trophies. They're from running. So it's a female runner back there. My wife runs marathons, so there's a couple of her trophies back there. And then I think that's just a decorative sailboat. I'm here in my office here in Bristol, Rhode Island. But for me personally, the 2 leg wins in my Volvo career are probably the most important trophies. But as we all know, it's not about the trophy; it's about the accomplishment. So those were pretty significant for me, and certainly hope to add to that list of leg victories between now and the end of the race.
Because you're quite a young skipper, and you've achieved an awful lot in at an early age compared with a lot of people. But there is a question here from Suzanne Hurst who asks, "What do you admire the most about a skipper?" I'm wondering if you had any examples of people that maybe you've sailed with, maybe you've looked up to and learnt a lot from.
Yeah, I have very good relationships with a lot of, I don't know, I want to say ex-retired Volvo skippers, but, I don't really put one of them on a pedestal per se. Everyone's kind of got their strengths and weaknesses, but I have very good relationships with Ken Reed, here in Newport, Mike Sanderson, who I met kind of during the Morning Light project. Ian Walker was a great help to me personally in the last race, and then I can't say enough about Knut Frostad as well.
Oh, we're just losing you a little bit on the Skype there, Charlie. Oh, you're back.
Here with Vestas 11th. Yeah. Oh, that's it. I mean, I think I rattled off about 4 names there that have been integral to kind of helping me get to where I am. So.
Absolutely. I'm sure we can let you keep going as well. But here's a little bit of a cheeky one from Ivan, who asked, with the nature of the competition that we're running, when do you think that they will reach, Vestas 11th hour racing, reach the 2,000 nautical mile from the finish line? We're asking for the time and the date. So help fans of the boat, and in fact, everybody here who's going to enter into this competition by commenting, help them out. What's your best guess?
It's tough to say. You know, it all depends on how long they stay in the doldrums here. But I guess 2,000 miles. Let's see. I'll optimistically work backwards from my flight that I have to Hong Kong. So I'm supposed to get there on the 17th. I would say 11 p.m. on the 14th, UTC.
All right, there we have it. So 11
Seems like
p.m.
as good a guess as any.
I think absolutely. And right now,
probably a little optimistic.
well, I think it's a pretty good start for a lot of people. If you're not too sure, you can check out the tracker. What day is today? Oh, what day is today? Well, we know that they're on day 9 of the leg. As to which day is it Wednesday? I think it's Wednesday, isn't it? I mean, we get so completely caught up with the race. I'm sure the sailors do even worse than we do. But if you want more help, not only from Charlie, but you want more help as well, we've got the race experts behind us. If you haven't done so already, you can subscribe to their Twitter feed. They put out updates normally about every hour. They also update the tracker for you as well. It's not live. We know you guys always ask for the tracker to go live. Believe us when we say it takes an awful lot of human power to keep that thing live. So we try and reserve that power for the start and for the end of the legs. But in the meantime, the race experts will keep you up to date. Okay, Charlie, just one last question, because I know you've got to get on and we're sort of running out of time here. One last question. We've had one come in. What is it that you miss most now that you're having to watch this leg from the shore?
Oh, well, it's the distraction between 6-hour skeds. I mean, it's the competition. You know, it's what we live for. I mean, I have 100% confidence in the guys that they're going to finish strong. We got a great team on the boat. Everybody's picked up the slack. You can see it from off the boat. But, you know, selfishly, I do what I do because I love it. And it's the competition. And as hard as it may be to believe, I'd switch places right now. I'd be bobbing around on the equator and loving every second of it. So as hard as it is to watch, I know the guys are going to close it out. We need a good result here. And, yeah, that's it. It's the competition.
All right, well, Charlie, thank you so much. We're getting so many comments on the Facebook feed, wishing you and your family all the best, so I'm very happy to sort of pass them on. We know that you're going to keep up to date with the race. Fingers crossed that we might get another chance to touch base with you before we get to Hong Kong. If not, good luck when you rejoin the race, and we'll see you properly there.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. All the support.
All right, okay, so that was Charlie Enright joining us live from the other side of the planet. Sorry for the delay on the line, but that's the problem when you have an ocean in the way. So a quick reminder of a couple of key things. First of all, there is a lot going on the race course right now. We know that the fleet are separated by only a few miles, but those miles could translate into a huge lead or a huge deficit when the breeze finally arrives as they punch out to the other end of the doldrums. You're not going to want to take your eyes off anything. Subscribe to the Race Expert feed if you haven't done so already. And of course, we've got quick fixes and we've got daily lives as well, plus our competition. A quick reminder of how you can enter. You've got to comment on this video or tomorrow's show or Friday's show. But at the end of Play Friday, Friday midnight, that will be it. And the first person to comment with the date, the time in UTC when Vestas 11th Hour Racing will reach 2,000 nautical miles from the finish line, that is the person that's going to win this wonderful swag that I am beautifully modeling here for you today. That's everything that we've got today. I hope you enjoyed that little bit of a treat with Charlie Enright. We will be seeing you tomorrow for the quick fix in the morning and then at 1300 UTC back in the studio for another daily show. See you then.